What is happening, everybody? trueeevil here, and today I am bringing you my ultimate guide for Liliam. She's the newest Animus in Etheria restart, and she does insane single target damage, and more importantly, cannot be CC'd by pesky Mios. So definitely a awesome unit that is going to be a pretty much must pull for every account I think that wants to focus on PvP. Now I will preface this by saying that she doesn't excel in PvE, so if you're looking for a character that can do that job, well, I would look the other way. But since this is a PvP gacha game, she fills a really strong hole, which is, well, I hate getting obled for 5 minutes. So thank you for giving us the almighty Liliam. So without further ado, let's talk about the build and how to use her. So let's talk about the build for a second, because it might not seem very intuitive for a lot of people. What we're rocking today is Law of Silence as the shell, and the reason for it is originally I was testing out Count, because I thought Count would be a little bit stronger because Count has momentum, which gives that crit chance and gives you that raw damage, so the skill 3 and the skill 2 are buffed up for 2 turns, and you just get the life steal. But what ended up happening was that a lot of the reasons you use Liliam is for against CC, right? And what I was seeing a lot in the higher brackets was that the people who were using CC were drafting either CC first and then pivoting the cleave, or they were cleave and then they pivoted to CC. So because of that, what I went for was Law of Silence, and the reason why I did that is because of the void state. Now the void state makes it so you can't be selected as the main target, which is really crucial because Liliam is a little bit squishy, and you don't want Yelly to target her for the follow-up attacks, because that might mean that Liliam is not going to be able to do the crack pack and really just lay waste to that Yelly. So I really like how you can't be targeted and you take a lot less of the group damage. This is really important because she is a little bit squishy, and that's why we're also rocking 12 Bloodbath. And the reason we're rocking 12 Bloodbath is because this is Season 1 of Etheria Restart, and if you don't have 12 Bloodbath on every single one of your characters, you are trolling at this point, in my opinion, if you aren't playing a super speed cleave team. So I would definitely recommend 12 Bloodbath on everything, and even if you are cleave, I recommend 12 Bloodbath on everything at this point. So for the other matrix effects, we have Fury Edge, and the reason we're doing Fury Edge because, well, the extra crit rate and crit damage is huge. And then we're doing Keen Eye, and the reason we're doing Keen Eye is because, well, there is no momentum, and just more damage. Just make sure that that one shot really goes through. So this is what I really like as the build, and let's see how it goes against what I described as those CC cleave teams. And sometimes you can just like ban a certain unit, or it may look like they're going to pivot to CC, so you pick a unit like Liliam to make sure they don't pick the CC units, so you could ban a different unit. So let's see this in practicality. So I think this is a good example to show why the sets are great with the Void. As you can see, we did get targeted there, and that is because Dark Moon doesn't actually target, it does it by whatever the stat is. And then here, the great thing about the Void is it can't be targeted. As you can see, this is going to do an insane amount of damage, and even with that Viper hit, as you can see, I still took significant damage with the Liliam, even with Void and Bloodbath and Viper. So it's really important to just like protect her, and if she did get single targeted there, it wasn't guaranteed that she would live. So definitely want to be protective as all possible. And then here we're going to lay down the smackdown on the Rosa, because the Rosa I think is a little bit scarier, and even with that defense up, as you can see, the almighty Liliam takes no prisoners because she is the best Animus in this game, boys. She is too powerful. And then we're going to lay down some smoke and really get it up nice and juicy for that Liliam to show that Yelly what it means to be a gamer. And as you can see, we get that AoE stun. So before we talk about lattices, from that example we just saw, you saw that the opponent left once the skill 2 procced and stunned everyone. This is really, really important. And if you have a super juiced up Liliam with, say, like max dupes and just like everything latticed, and you know you can one shot a squishy thing with the skill 2, I would sometimes do that instead of the skill 3 because that stun can just snowball you the game. So let's talk about the prowess investment. Now, I think maxing this out is extremely important with the skill 3 because it's just going to make her have attack up and speed up pretty much constant, and it's really powerful. This ability in particular is good because even if you can't one-shot with it, you can knock down some of their HP bar, which against something like a Ling Luo or a Sonya, which comes up a lot, it's really nice to be able to lock them out of, like, say, half their HP. So once the meter of the PvP effect, where they take more damage and do less heals, comes into play, if you, say, can't one-shot at the beginning, mid-match, the one-shot is going to be more apparent. Now, what I will say with the Lattice investment is that I do think the skill 3 is most important, but the next thing, and I will say these both are pretty much requirements, is you're going to want the skill 1. You want this maxed out for the turn meter reduction effect, and the reason for this is because even though she can't be CC'd, a character like Kazuo, for example, is going to be able to push her back with her skill 3, and if you combine this with a Lily, you can pretty much just turn meter reduce her back into oblivion, which I will show you why you need to do that with a blooper clip of me doing it with not a max skill 1, thinking it would work. So let's see that right now. So in this clip, we're going to see why the skill 1 is so necessary. As you can see, get that pushback. We didn't get pushback with the Lilium, but we do have that attack down. And the attack down is what makes Kazuo so powerful, because even if we're able to get around the sleep and get an attack, usually it's not enough to one-shot, especially with a build-up like this. So we're going to see how much the Lilium is able to muster up with the attack down, which isn't going to be a lot because I don't have her fully latticed yet, so it's probably going to be about half HP. Which, yeah, about half HP. If I did have a fully built Lilium, it might have done a lot more. So that was a big thing to consider, and the unfortunateness is I couldn't go for the skill 2 route there because of the immunity, so we wouldn't be able to lock that stun. Now, as you can see here, the pushback is definitely real, especially now because they can all focus all our characters, and even though I tried to heal to make it so I could get out of there, it really wasn't enough, and I should have probably done the skill 2 to do the stun lock, but I was really just thinking, what could I do to survive? So sometimes you do cave under pressure, especially when trying new units, but of course I do think we win this match. So one of the great things of having high effect res is, as you can see with the Holden, it doesn't take too much for Holden to really lay it down like that. You just need to resist one time, and generally you're going to be able to win. So for the passives, what you're going to want to do is red overclocking. This is insane extra damage, and I pretty much would say that is one of the most mandatory things for characters that are DPSs. Besides, if a character needs red shadow dash, I think, you know, the best shadow dash you can, of course, is going to be the most important, but for her, I think the attack is going to be her most important thing. Then for this, because we're using Law of Silence, we can't get crit rate off of momentum, so what we're doing is getting penetration to get the highest crit rate chance possible, and then whatever highest you can get for the final damage increase. Now, I would prioritize this probably last. It's more important to have that nice crit rate, and especially that red overclocking, but this is how I would go around her passives. Now, for the right side modules, what I would say to do is you want that crit rate into crit damage. I think this is going to be the most important thing to do, and that is because, well, she's a DPS, so you want her to be doing the most damage possible with the most crit rate. For the substats, I would say the most important is speed, crit rate, and crit damage, and then get some percentages. It doesn't matter which ones, just whatever you think you need. Maybe you need that attack bonus, maybe you need that defense bonus. Really figure what you need out. But I would say speed, crit rate, and crit damage are definitely the most important on these. So to end the video, I'm going to talk about why I think this Void build is by far the best and most universal, and it's because of the pivot, right? This player started off as Cleave and then switched to CC. I had to ban the Obel just because Obel is insane. And as you can see here, even though that we're resisting the sleep, we're still going to get one-shotted by this jacked up Yelly, because this player is probably one of the best cleave players in the game. And because of that, well, we got to make sure that we don't get cleaved by him, right? So what ends up happening is that with the count, you're just not able to survive without the Void. And although the Void would have been dispelled by that Mia, we still had that high effect res, so there is the chance that it wouldn't, as well, one of those rev hits from the Mia would be a lot less damage, right? So could have survived with 10 HP, and the great thing about Liliam is, though, even if she dies with either of those situations, what's going to end up happening is, as you can see here, we're stabilizing. If we're able to get that Sonya to revive at this point, what's going to end up happening is, because they're trying to protect their Casio to win the game, we are going to be able to have them all target the Liliam, and that is going to be super helpful. So definitely just wanted to point that out there. And I would also say that there are other shell options besides Void. I just personally like Void the best. For example, you can use Lighthouse, and Lighthouse would have probably also been enough to survive. It's just you're not going to have as much damage. And also, I do just like the Void effect. So really have to pick and choose there. So my final thoughts on Liliam is she's incredible at what she does, but she does require a lot of lattices, and she's only really powerful in PvP, and even then, you have to know how to use her correctly, or else she's just going to get blown out, as you just saw. So really need to take that into consideration and really build her on what you think she's going to excel at. So definitely going to end it with that. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and just letting you know the schedule. We will be doing some Cage Rumble videos coming up with extremely free-to-play friendly teams, as well as we're going to be streaming all of Ethernet Rally tomorrow. So be sure to tune in for that. So see you guys next time.